Welcome back to the weekend wrap. No production, just my thoughts. As always, please like and subscribe. Share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Hopefully by this time you would have watched Fight Talk Live, which took place a little bit earlier on today. If you haven't, make sure you go over to the channel and watch that. It got a bit testy at times, bit interesting, but you know, it is what it is. Sometimes opinions differ and you just got to get them out the way you see fit. With regards to this weekend, there was one card of substance and one card of relevance, one card of consequence to the heavyweight division as a whole. And look, let's talk about it. I'm not going to go deep into what happened on the undercard. I think I was very vocal that I thought the undercard was very substandard for a Riyadh season card in general. There was a lot of low-level fights. I didn't believe that Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen deserved to be on Riyadh season. No slight to them as individuals, but I want to see more high-level or people just on that cusp of fighting for world titles or being those top contenders. Neither of those guys are anywhere near that. Also, the same was with Isaac Lowe and Lee McGregor, but to a lesser extent, I suppose. You know, obviously Isaac Lowe being Tyson Fury's cousin, he's always going to get consideration for these things. So I didn't look as deeply into that one. I was very much looking forward to Peter McGrail and Dennis McKean, because those were two people that were sort of on the cusp of trying to get to that upper European / world level contention. When that fight fell out and we got Reese Edwards, admittedly, Reese Edwards was a very good replacement, but it was still a replacement on 5 days notice. So that took a bit of the luster out of that. Sergey Bohachuk and Israel Madrimov were supposed to beat the fight, and then Madrimov gets taken out with illness and also, I guess, additional preparation for his Virgil Ortiz fight. So in steps Ishmael Davis. Yeah, look, let's run through the card very quickly. So starting from the bottom, I got home and the first fight I think I saw was Peter McGrail and Lee McGregor. I did see a bit of the Lapin fight when I was in the gym. I didn't see the what's the other one? Nowitzki. I didn't see the Nowitzki fight, and I'm not planning to go back to rewatch it either, to be totally honest. But McGregor and Lowe, let's see. Okay, so Peter McGrail and Reese Edwards. Look, ultimately, Peter McGrail didn't impress me or even keep my level sort of engaged, if I'm gonna be real. I found more, I was more impressed with Reese Edwards' performance, and looking at that, I felt as if he's got a bit of a higher ceiling than where Peter McGrail will go. Now, I know Peter will probably get to world levels, or at least get to world title shots at some point in his career, because of obviously who he's matched with and who his promoter is, plus the amateur background that he had. But I feel as if, I don't know, I've just seen Reese Edwards a few more times where he looks incrementally better each time I've seen him, whereas Peter McGrail's kind of always looked how he's looked. Obviously, we saw the knockout with Jericho Quinn, and since that knockout, he hasn't, you know, there's not anything that I've seen that said, yeah, this is the guy to be keeping an eye on at that featherweight division. So, yeah, kind of I just leave that as it was. He got the decision. I did think he would, but I don't remember predicting I think I may have said, you know, I would expect him to get the decision here, but it just was a fight I wasn't too interested in. Then we had Isaac Lowe and Lee McGregor. Now, I thought that, well, I didn't give a prediction on camera, but obviously I did my usual bet, and I've got my, I've got a specific group league that I'm in. And in that I thought that McGregor would get a knockout. There was times that like he possibly could have got close to it, but yeah, look, Isaac Lowe showed a good chin. Congratulations to him. Got comprehensively beaten. Sort of tactics went out the window after about the 4th round. He just decided, all right, let's go, and that's what happened. Gum Shield fell out about 6 or 7 times. Referee took 2 points off for the Gum Shield, and it was 2 different Gum Shields. They replaced the first one after it fell out, I think 3 times. Then the second one started falling out. And at that point, I just thought to myself, why the referee might as well just disqualify him at this point. I know he may not be doing it intentionally, but it's an illegal act. Like the Gum Shield, like spitting out the Gum Shield or the Gum Shield being dislodged that many times is it's illegal. You take 2 points off, you might as well just disqualify him. But I do actually think the referee at the end of the fight, I thought he probably did the same thing that everyone else thought. Okay, you should have done this about 2-3 times. Like the Gum Shield fell out, the second Gum Shield came out, and at that point the referee just left it on the floor and said, have at it, you two just go at it. Now obviously that could have been detrimental to Isaac Lowe's teeth, possibly getting dislodged or getting lodged up inside the gums, which is one of the reasons you wear the Gum Shield. But yeah, at that point the ref said, no, there's about 1.5 minutes left to go, and he just left the Gum Shield on the floor. And at that point I thought, okay, I'll give you that. I've never seen that before, but good on you. Like, just let it flow. If he gets knocked out, now he gets knocked out. Just that simple. So yeah, there was that. Then from there it moved on to Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen. As you guys know, I highly protested this one on Basis Picks, didn't give a decision, but what I did say was, if you look at the actual fight itself, and someone like Dave Allen, if he's got any semblance of ambition left in him, this is a fight he should be winning, and winning comfortably. And when we got to the fight, that almost rang true. Ultimately, Johnny Fisher did get the decision, very dubiously. A lot of people feel like it was the very wrong decision. He won the first 4 rounds quite clearly because Dave Allen didn't do anything, but Dave Allen was proclaiming that, look, there's some shots are going low. The referee wasn't making any mention of it. But then straight after that, in the 5th round, Johnny Fisher hits him low again, and you can see Dave Allen get annoyed, and that's when he catches Johnny Fisher with a sweeping left hook, a short left hook to the jaw, which basically spins it. Then he comes over with 2 other shots that don't even really connect. They just they cuff around the top of Johnny Fisher, but he goes down. He goes down from that, from that quite visibly nasty left hook, and then from there, he's basically on shaky legs for like the next round and a half. And it almost feels like prior to that you had Dave Allen was carrying him. After that, it seemed very much like he was just letting Johnny Fisher try to work, and he was just tucking up, thinking like, well, I'll just win the rounds rather than try to take you out because we're friends. But yeah, it's almost like he just stepped off the gas and said, all right, now let's see how you recover. And then he was winning those rounds, and then in the 10th round he kind of lets that one go, doesn't take any chances, and Johnny Fisher does manage to win the 10th, and then ends up getting it on the scorecards, 95-94 twice, so 6 rounds to 4. Up till now, I still don't know if there was maybe like around 6 or 7 or 8 or even 9 where maybe the lack of work from Dave Allen, just sort of allowed Fisher to maybe nick the round by a bit of even if he was only landing on gloves, but like, he was just being the busier of the two in a specific round. I'm wondering if that's maybe a reason how he got gifted the decision. I have to go back and watch because I haven't seen it. But ultimately, Johnny Fisher got the decision. Most people don't think he deserved it, but we now know that any notion or any impetus to try and push Johnny Fisher a bit higher up the world rankings, up the world stage, is going to be fastly halted. He was at Southern area level. He's probably going to stick in and around that level of competition for the next 4 to 5 months, maybe even longer than that, maybe up until 8-10 months from now. They'll still try to box him in Australia, they'll still box him in other places around the world, but it'll just be boxing against very low level, nondescript opposition, up until the point where the fans that do ride with him decide that they want to stop buying tickets and then that will ultimately be when we see that next step up occur. Hopefully by that time he's worked on a few things and he's made a few adjustments and a few technical sharpen ups that maybe hold him in better stead to get an English, potentially like a British title a couple of years down the line. But considering he said that his goal has only ever been, you know, if he wins a British title, that would mean the world to him. So we kind of see where he's setting his level. There's enough time to go there. I'm sure he'll be okay. And because he is a ticket seller, there's not going to be any big rush to get him beat, basically. So that's kind of how I see that playing out. So hey, Bohachuk versus Ishmael Davis. Look, I wish Davis the best of luck. I wanted to see him do well in the fight. He had a good first round, but pretty much after that, it was all one-way traffic. He did okay in moments, and he didn't just get dominated and overawed in every single round, but you could just see that there was clear levels between him and Bohachuk. And Bohachuk wasn't even fighting to, like, he wasn't out of first gear, I don't think, throughout the entire fight. The moment he caught Davis with that short counter left hook on the inside in the second round and took his legs away, it was pretty much over from there. It was like crisis of confidence, and all of the nervous switch hitting from Ishmael Davis, he's got to stop that. It's got to be, you've got to stick to a stance, and you've got to adapt and dominate in that stance until the time is right in the fight to change, to find a new look. Constantly switching round between rounds is not really it doesn't work. It didn't work with Sonny when he did, hence why Sonny wouldn't switch continuously through rounds. He would normally a couple rounds this way, then maybe that way. If his opponent tried to switch, then he would switch off with them. That's more the method to do it. Or someone like Terence Crawford, you stick in a stance that you're comfortable with for the majority of the time, and then you change it up to give your opponent a look once you think that they've adapted to that style. So now that puts you in a better position to land the shots, especially if it's later on in the fight. So that's something he's going to have to learn. But yeah, Bohachuk did what he needed to do. They said that ended up being a final eliminator for the WBC title at 154. I think personally he needs to fight someone else. I don't think that you can take on someone that's not had a fight with a top 20 opponent in the in that division, and that is the person you get to fight for a final eliminator. I think he should be made to fight again, fight someone within the top 10 and deal with it that way. That's personally my opinion on that, but it probably won't happen. Although the WBC aren't going to be they're not going to be calling for that match anytime soon. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that one. Then we got to Moses Itauma and Dempsey McKean. Look, I'm surprised it ended when it ended. I didn't think Dempsey McKean would get knocked out in the first round, but I did think he'd get hurt early in the fight. And it was about whether he could sustain and weather that moment of pain that he normally gets caught with. And at that point, see if he can do anything to bring it back towards Moses. But unfortunately, that was not the case. He got cleaned out in round one. The first punch he got caught with was an illegal shot. It was a shot to the back of the head, but Moses didn't aim for the back of Dempsey McKean's head. Dempsey, just the way he came in and then the way he ended up leaning forward, that's just where the punch ended up hitting him. But that totally scrambled and shattered the equilibrium. He got up. He managed to sort of tried to get his legs back under him, but less than 15 seconds later, maybe 20 seconds at most, he gets caught with a straight left down the pipe, lands right on the jaw, and Moses drove through the target hard and fast. And Dempsey drops again, involuntary spasming of the leg as he's trying to get up the corner, and then from that point the corner jump in to the ring. The referee's still counting him. He's counting to the 8 so that he can give it as an official knockout, but the corner's like, no, we don't want to continue. It was the right moment in the time. I mean, would Dempsey have been better if he had a bit more activity and hadn't been inactive for like the last 8 what was it, about 16 months or whatever it was. Who knows? Maybe he would have had a bit more success if that wasn't the case. But at the end of the day, he took an opportunity and he came up short. So now it's time to see what he will do moving forward. As for Moses Itauma, I mean, I did think they would try and do that Pulev fight, but he's been talking recently saying that he's not as interested in trying to break the Tyson streak as he was before, with all the politics and stuff that's there. He's not sure if it's going to happen, so he's not going to stress himself. I hear that. I mean, if they can make the Pulev fight, I would definitely try to make that Pulev fight, just so that you can say that you've got that trinket title and then you fight in and amongst that type of level, that sort of that D to C list of opposition, maybe B minuses, about a year from now, once you're sort of in that reign. But he is a prodigy. I do think he is one of the futures of the division. I mean, look, Jared Anderson's still about. Whether he sticks around or not, who knows? But I mean, look, there's Richard Torres, there's Bakadir Jalilov, there's Tero Moana, there's Moses Itauma, and maybe we put Justice Hooney in there in terms of that new crop. And I guess you find out if any of those five will be the ones to, to sort of reign supreme for the future. The currents is obviously Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker and Zhang and those sort of people. But I mean, the future's there, so let's wait and see what kind of happens with that. Now to the main event. This was not a prediction that I had any trepidation about. The only thing I thought was whether or not it would be a knockout. I know I said that I thought in the first one that Usyk would get a knockout. I thought he would get a knockout this one because Tyson Fury would get more aggressive and ultimately when he's coming in heavier, getting more aggressive. Then when it comes down to managing those energy stores, they're going to drain down a lot quicker than they have previously. And I think we kind of saw that in those first few rounds, he was a lot more like effecting with the jab and the backhand, even though he wasn't winning those rounds as such. But he was standing his ground more. He was trying to hold center ring. He wasn't trying to get pushed back by Usyk. He tried to lean in. He tried to fall into Usyk and lean on him on several occasions. But as I said from that first fight, like Usyk knows how to nullify that. He's trained Sambo for years. Like his kids do judo. Like he knows about using his body to his advantage. He knows about maximizing his strength and nullifying yours. He knows about bicep control to stop someone from being able to get that underhook and that overall hunch onto you. He knows about posting his shoulder into the chest of his opponent so that he affects their construct and they can't affect his. And ultimately, a lot of people don't realize when you're the smaller guy, you usually have a much bigger advantage when it comes to using your weight to someone that's bigger, because they've got more space that they've got to try and control. You've got a lower center of gravity. A lot of the time, if you use sharp, shorter movements, you're able to affect them a lot quicker than they're able to affect you. So there's just so much things there. Everyone was talking about the adjustments that Fury is going to make. Ultimately, those adjustments led to nothing. Personally, while I think he came in a bit more like commanding in this fight, technically you would say by the scorecards he did worse, because all three scorecards was 116, 112 in this fight to Oleksandr Usyk, whereas last time it was a split decision. Last time they gave it 6 rounds apiece to Usyk, and obviously the point deduction, they gave Fury a 7-5 and then they gave a Usyk a 7-5 as well. Well, so by those metrics, Usyk had to have done better in this fight, the same fight everyone thought that Tyson Fury would be the one to dominate. Now, I'm sure a lot of it is British bias and, we've got to back the Brit and, I can see how he can do it. I've always known that Usyk just is too good for Tyson Fury. I've said it on several occasions. Tyson Fury doesn't do well against people that are quicker than him. He doesn't like to fight people that are quicker than him. Hence why he loves to fight. Even if they're shorter, there's like slower, more plodding, cumbersome heavyweights. When it comes to people that actually have foot speed and hand speed, like that can match him, he struggles. I mean, we all saw it from the Cunningham fight. Now, yes, he was able to get the tactics right after he got knocked down in that one by just being the bigger guy. But obviously, Cunningham isn't of the quality of Usyk and doesn't do the same things that Usyk did. But when it came to just that nuts and bolts boxing and trying to be first to the draw, Cunningham was beating him to the punch every single time. So, yeah, I never had any thoughts. I never had any concerns that Tyson Fury would beat Oleksandr Usyk. I always thought it was going to be the other way. Like I said, the only thing I got wrong was thinking that it would be a knockout. I thought that not even that he would get caught with that same punch again, but I thought that it would be a situation where the gas tank just runs so dry, Usyk is just able to flurry and maybe drops him one time, gets him back up, survives a round or two, gets caught in another flurry, and eventually the ref sort of jumps in and waves it off. That's the way I was kind of predicting it to go, with Tyson Fury just having nothing left in the tank. But yeah, that's not obviously the way it played out. It was just a dominant points performance by Oleksandr Usyk. All the people talking about, oh, they had it close, or they've had Fury a round up going into the last round. Eddie, I don't know what you were watching. Like, there was nothing in that fight that suggests that Oleksandr Usyk was not a dominant victor. I know that you was begging for the AJ fight if Fury got those belts or whatnot, but yeah, him, obviously Frank Warren's his promoter, so I understand that how he's gonna see it. But look, it is what it is. Usyk also beat the he beat the industry again. He beat the establishment, because it was heavily favored that everyone wanted Tyson Fury to win. But I did say the one thing is, I do think Turki Al-Sheikh by himself will not be complicit or allow like shenanigans to go on, because obviously there's a reputation they're trying to build in Saudi. They don't want the reputation of corruption taking place. But the issue was always going to be potentially a judge that was maybe just trying to get a bit of leniency to swing it the way that that Turkey wants, so that trilogy can happen and maybe gets back out onto another card. So while it's not a brown paper bag type situation, it's an incentive. Luckily, none of that happened, which is the main thing. Oleksandr Usyk, clear dominant, number one of this era. No disputes, no discussions, no what ifs, no what aboutisms. It's just him. He is him. He is that guy, and it's about time everyone just fully accepts that. And I'm hopefully now that they will. Daniel Dubois tried to jump in right at the end, said, look, he wants the rematch. Bearing in mind, he's got a fight. Like, he's literally got Joseph Parker there, so I'm sure Joseph was probably looking at that like, oh, you think this is going to be easy work? All right. And look, as another fellow Capricorn, I've got to show Joseph Parker support. He has always actually been one of my favorite heavyweights of this generation, and that was even before I knew when his birthday was. Things started to click for him a bit later, and obviously there's still certain mistakes that he's making that I don't particularly like. The whole thing about bulking up just to make sure that people don't have the size on him. Clearly, looking at Oleksandr Usyk, that's where you understand size isn't everything. You don't need to worry about the size if you work and you hone the skills and the craft. So, but he does say he's going to trim down for the Daniel Dubois fight. I think he was sitting around 270, 280 pounds. I think he's going to come back down to the 250s. But obviously, doing a training camp where you're now having to basically spend the majority of it trying to strip off like fat and maybe the excess muscle, is probably not the most ideal situation, but we'll see what happens with that moving forward. But yeah, look, overall, it was a good main event, a dominant main event, but it was a Fury that gave his all. He didn't give all that I thought he would. I thought he would commit to the task and basically accept that after 5 rounds, after 6 rounds, I'm going to have nothing left, so I'm going to leave every single ounce of this in the ring to get this victory. He didn't quite do that, but he did, he made adjustments, kept the right hand to his chin for the majority of the fight to stop getting caught with that left cross. But yeah, look, overall, the entire like the event itself to me was very lackluster. The undercard was definitely the worst that we've had on a a Riyadh season card thus far. There were some fun-ish type fights, but yeah, there was, in terms of what we're used to, and I understand it's, we're spoiled now, but it's a bit like when I guess when you date someone, you date a girl and you take her to a fancy restaurant on the very first date. Well, she's going to kind of expect that treatment from from there onwards. So you got to start off small, and then you got to build yourself to that, so that okay, this is a treat when we get this one. This isn't what I should be expecting. That's kind of how I see it. So yeah, I've been spoiled with very, very good undercards from like the very first set of Riyadh seasons up to this one. And so when this one came out, obviously I was very critical of it, but there was a couple of fights that made me say, okay, cool. And then unfortunately, two of the best fights on the card both dropped out to both have what we would see as substandard additions or add-ons to the card. Even though the Reese Edwards one was a good replacement, it still didn't have the Matchroom v Queensberry intrigue that made the McGrail and McKean fight somewhat serviceable. But yeah, look, that's my opinion. Hopefully we won't get too many more of these, and leave the prospects off of these cards. Like, if someone like Moses Itauma is, he's a prospect, but you can clearly see that the talent is there for him to be at decent level fights on a card like this. But yeah, unless it's that the Saudi guys on the before the bell portions, honing their craft and learning their craft and gaining skills and experience or whatnot, let's just keep these fights to either contenders or like fringe contenders, and championships, Europeans, British, Commonwealth, that sort of level, and above, obviously, and world title fights as well. I understand maybe money isn't always there for that, but yeah, you got a standard to maintain. Let's not let it drop again. That's my thoughts. But yeah, look, leave your thoughts down below. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I will be going live during the week, I think on Tuesday and Friday. So not Christmas or Boxing Day, but I think Friday 27th I'll go live for a special non-boxing related live. But yeah, Christmas Eve I think I'll do a quick live for the people, just to talk some stuff and to everyone to say their well wishes or whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me right now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, as I said, but I'll catch you on the next one. But until then, peace.